the real reason Four Loko was banned. So anybody that's, you know, around my age, late 20s, early 30s know about the original Four Lokos. Quick story: the Four Lokos, the original formula was banned probably like 12 to 15 years ago. No, about 12 to 15 years ago, somewhere in that range, like 2011 ish, I would say. They banned the original formula because I tell you what, bro, when this was out when I was in high school, not that I was drinking in high school, but when I was drinking these in high school, they were on crack. It was crazy how strong they were. Just one can, that giant ass can, it gotta be like, what, 24, 36 ounces? I just remember I had somebody drive me to the store. We drove all the way from one town all the way back to my hometown because there's a party in the town next door. We drove all the way back here to go to the store where we could get them. I remember we were going to get more. I remember drinking one on the way there. I kind of remember getting out of my car and purchasing another one. I don't remember drinking the second one at all. All I remember is pulling back up to my friend's house. Like I wasn't driving. Somebody was driving my car. But all I remember is pulling back up to his house or to the party or whatever we were doing. And I don't even remember drinking the second drink. All I remember is crushing up the can and just throwing it. I don't know where I threw it. I don't know what I was on, but that's all I remember is crushing up that can and throwing it. I don't remember shit else. Crazy times. Crazy times.
When you're looking to wash away your troubles with a single drink, one can on the convenience store shelf stands out above the rest. It's been called liquid cocaine and blackout in a can. But for the rest of us, there's only one name, or two names, or technically four, that will delete every memory in your head except for the desire to party. Today, we're getting crazy with the hardwired history of Four Loko.
Man, they basically just said the same thing I said. That's crazy.
Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel and let us know in the comments below what other notorious beverages you would like to hear about. Okay, time to live La Vida Loco. Before Four Loko entered the scene, different cultures had already developed their own mixes of caffeine and alcohol. In Italy, they had Caffè Corretto, which is a shot of espresso and a little bit of either brandy or the grape-based pomace spirit, grappa. Either way, you're walking into work a little toasty. In Spain, and eventually Latin America as well, they had Catahiro, a cold coffee with added spices and a healthy dose of liquor. The exact type of liquor varies from country to country. Heck, you could probably put Four Loko in it. No one would stop you. And on second thought, somebody might. And of course, in Ireland, they had their hot, whiskey-loaded Irish coffee, sometimes topped with whipped cream. Still, none of these caffeine and liquor creations packed enough punch for some, and most of them acted more as a late-night pick-me-up than an all-in-one recipe for a guaranteed blackout. Plus, let's face it, no one wants to see you chug 12 Irish coffees in one sitting. You don't even want to see that. Luckily for the ne'er-do-wells of the 1990s, a whole new invention was about to make its splash on Western markets. Red Bull, a Thai energy drink first created in 1987, slowly made its way
I didn't
across
know it was
Europe
that
over
old.
the course of the decade. There, Red Bull marketed itself to alpine skiers, both as an energy booster, providing that extra edge for those hitting the slopes, and as a cocktail mixer, meant to keep the party going late into the night. So when Red Bull finally landed in America in 1997, it was already well established as an international mixer, like a guy with a vague accent and 500,000 Instagram friends. As you might expect, it didn't take long for American partiers to bring Red Bull to their shindigs. Before the millennium was up, reports began to emerge that Ohio State University frat brothers were mixing Red Bull with liquor to get their parties bumping.
Ohio
Over on
State.
America's West Coast, raves
I
began
live
selling
in
Red Bull
Ohio.
drinks and a variety of high-end cocktails. The practice quickly caught on everywhere, and vodka Red Bull soon became a bar-time staple. Wanting to capitalize
Vodka
on this
Red
growing
Bull.
trend, along came Sparks, America's first ever alcoholic energy drink. No mixing required. Introduced in 2002, this 6% ABV malt beverage had all the staples of your typical energy drink. It had ginseng, guarana, and, who could forget, taurine. Sparks grew naturally over the years that followed, and it eventually gained the attention of Miller Brewing Company, who acquired the brand in 2006. During that same time, Sparks also gained the attention of three particular Ohio State frat brothers, Chris Hunter, Jeff Wright, and Jason Freeman. Since this raucous trio had already been making energy drink cocktails of their own in their Kappa Sigma basement, they were unimpressed by what Sparks brought to the table and figured they could make a better product.
Oh,
So in
boy.
2005, they formed Fusion Projects LLC, and they came up with the first ever prototype for what they, at the time, dubbed Energy Beer, referring to themselves as their own target market over the entire development process. Energy beer is a legend we all cling to, like the philosopher's stone of alcohol. The initial Fusion Projects beverage contained 4 primary ingredients: guaran.
I remember 2005 like it was yesterday, huh? What's up, 60? Yo, 60, you gaming? You playing COD tonight? What you doing? I'm gonna finish watching up this video. Oh, I forgot to record. Damn it. Alright, I gotta remember to go back in and get this video. I forgot to record again.
Taurine, caffeine, and, most distinctly, wormwood. Wormwood is an old world plant that's been naturalized in much of North America. In ancient times, it was used to treat jaundice, to help sore throats, and, most commonly, to help with all ailments concerning the female reproductive system. Because of this gynecological connection, botanists usually came to incorporate Artemis, who was the Greek goddess of childbirth, into the plant's binomial name. Wormwood thereby became scientifically known as Artemisia absinthium, the latter part of which gave the popular 1800s drink absinthe its name. Likewise, while myths surrounding absinthe's hallucinogenic effects are unfounded, they all tend to blame its unique ingredient, wormwood, for making people go, well, loco. Thus, by putting wormwood in their new product, the Frat Brothers were drawing a direct connection between their beverage and one of the most notorious spirits of the last century. It's a thing 3 Frat Brothers would do. At first, they simply called this beverage 4, named after its 4 primary ingredients. Like the sparks that inspired it, 4 had an ABV of 6%. Why not call it 6? And it came in cherry and berry flavors. No one seemed to want what Fusion Projects were selling though, and 4 ended up being pulled after just 1 year on the market. The Frat Brothers went back to the drawing board, and what they came up with next would forever change the college party scene. They decided to drop the wormwood from their drink entirely and to increase the alcohol content by more than double. They also, for the first time, adopted large 23.5-ounce cans, making the new version of their drink the alcoholic equivalent of about 4 to 6 beers.
Jeez.
Balanced out with the caffeine of about an entire can of Red Bull
Wow.
and an additional shot of espresso.
Oh my god. My goodness, it was so
Fusion
strong.
Projects called their new product 4 Loko.
2008,
and they sent it to
yep.
store shelves in 2008.
Sounds
At
about
first,
right.
This fondly nicknamed Blackout in the Can cost just $2.50, and it was available in 46 states. This time around, Fusion Projects found near-instant success among college kids, and a newspaper from Indiana's Ball State University lovingly bestowed upon it the tagline, "Hyper, Horny, and Happy," eloquently articulating the many phases one went through while drinking 4 Loko. They left out tired and confused, which are the phases that typically occur the morning after. But even in its first season on the market, storm clouds were already forming over top 4 Loko's 23.5-ounce head. 15 different kids from 2 different colleges were reportedly hospitalized from consuming too much 4 Loko, and the great eye of the Food and Drug Administration immediately swiveled its attention to Fusion Projects. The FDA was already well aware of the dangers of mixing caffeine and alcohol. Because alcohol is a depressant and caffeine is a stimulant, caffeine is capable of making people feel less drunk than they actually are. So they'll often drink more than they otherwise would, increasing the damage done by the alcohol. Because of this, the FDA requested that Fusion Projects provide evidence demonstrating their product was safe for consumption. This seemingly simple request proved to be a near impossible task that Loko never quite managed to pull off. 4 Loko was under the Fed's microscope heading into 2009, and college kids everywhere took notice. For 2 wild years, 4 Loko's popularity surged, like the name of that other drink that had entirely too much caffeine in it. Everyone seemed to sense that 4 Loko could be gone for good any day, and like a loved one in hospice, they had to spend as much time with it as they could. In 2009, Fusion Projects made about $45 million on the product. In 2010, they made about $100 million, selling about 60 million cans in the process. Despite these financial gains, or maybe because of them, pressure continued to mount on fusion projects. Even Senator Chuck Schumer came to condemn their drink, stating that Four Loko was designed to appear hip with flashy colors and funky designs that could appeal to younger consumers.
I say to parents, that's dangerous stuff, and your kids won't even know it's dangerous.
Yes, Chuck, it was the hip and funky, flashy colors that were bringing in the college kids and nothing else.
Yeah,
After,
okay.
as more and more people were hospitalized from drinking too much Four Loko, universities began banning Four Loko from their campuses altogether.
They can
Most
ban a
famously,
drink?
New York Assemblyman Felix Ortiz, hell-bent on getting Four Loko banned from his state, drank 2 full cans of the stuff in under an hour. Naturally, his blood pressure rose, and he threw it all back up shortly thereafter. New York then moved forward with their ban, joining the likes of Michigan, Oklahoma, Utah, and Washington. Although, in Four Loko's defense, we challenge anyone to chug 2 cans of malt liquor without yakking like a super soaker full of gravy. Soon, lawsuits started flying. Some parents blamed Four Loko for their children being hospitalized, and some rare cases even dying after consuming the drink. Four Loko argued that they could not be held accountable for underage drinking, as it was illegal for those under 21 to be in possession of their product in the first place. Must have been those hip, funky colors. What's more, after one high-profile incident wherein 9 Washington State University students were hospitalized after drinking Four Loko, creator Chris Hunter put out a public statement. He said that his company's product shouldn't be held at fault, seeing as the incident's police report clearly stated, 14 separate times, that there were illegal drugs at the Washington State party. He also pointed out that many craft beers were more alcoholic than Four Loko, which is a fair point, although we wouldn't have used the word many.
It's called servings, kids. You gotta look on the side of the can.
Well, how many servings are in a can?
120.
All right.
He further argued that Bud Light Lime's packaging was
No
far more
way.
enticing to young drinkers than anything Four Loko had ever put out, which is harder to support. One of those 2 drinks looks like a Power Ranger, Chris, and it ain't the Bud Light. The FDA wasn't convinced by any of this either, and that same month, they sent a letter to Fusion Projects, as well as the makers of Moonshot, Juice, and Core High Gravity, threatening to shut all of them down in just 15 days if they didn't take steps to change their products. And thus, after 2 whole years of fighting against the system, Fusion Projects at last obliged. Fusion Projects hereby announced on November 16, 2010, that they were going to remove all of Four Loko's energy drink ingredients. Mourners soon gathered in New York's Union Square for a candlelight vigil, and some of the other alcoholic energy drink brands
That's
took
insane.
the fight entirely. A black market emerged on eBay and on Craigslist for the caffeinated version of Four Loko, with some cans selling for as high as $50 a pop. But a series of police raids on the homes of online retailers quickly put an end to caffeinated Four Loko for good.
Oh my God. Here we
So it's
go.
illegal to resell it? Yeah, I guess you're not allowed to sell liquor unless you have a liquor license. People are trying to make their own.
In January of 2011, Four Loko reemerged like Mick Murphy at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a shell of its former self. This new Four Loko no longer contained any of the 4 ingredients the product was named after, and the guarana, taurine, and caffeine were all tossed into the dustbin of history. Even so, much to the dismay of the FTC, Fusion Projects held on to their product's Loko. They kept the 12% ABV, the one quality Four Loko still has left to separate it from the pack. The FTC naturally put out a statement. They clarified that, even without the added caffeine, Four Loko still was not necessarily safe, stating consuming a single can of Four Loko on a single occasion constitutes binge drinking. Which means
Wow.
Assemblyman Ortiz was on a serious bender when he drank 2 in a row. Shortly thereafter, Jonathan Howland, a researcher at Boston University, argued that the ban on alcoholic energy drinks seemed largely ineffective because, in their absence, college students simply resumed their old practice of combining non-alcoholic energy drinks with liquor. The fight was over, though, and there was no going back for Four Loko. The product trucked on into the 2010s, and they managed to grow their business into 35 different countries. And that's without caffeine. Imagine how big the expansion would have been if they'd had all that extra energy. The brand today has over a dozen different flavors, including watermelon, blue raz, fruit punch, electric lemonade, sour apple, and the ever-luxurious gold, which, despite its name, does not taste like coins or a watch. Four Loko is also sold in a variety of potencies, depending on local regulations.
Man.
They've come up with several different product lines, which include their specially crafted Bartender series, their larger-than-life Bold series, and their lineup of hard seltzers. Their 70-proof Four Loko shots, which feature flavors such as Dragon's
70
Breath and
proof.
Green Tornado, and their always adored Four Loko pregame, which offers up the same Four Loko experience you know and love, but in a mini 6.8-ounce bottle. Perfect for nights when you want to pour one out for the original Loko, before the man took it from us. So what do you think? Did you try a can of the original Four Loko? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Our Weird History Food.
A lot of crazy times and a lot of things you will never remember on Four Loko. What a time. What a time. I didn't know they were still so successful, though. That's insane, man. That is insane. RIP, the original Four Loko. It's probably a good thing that it's not like that anymore. But man, what a time. What a time in life.